This is apropos. The dispute has prompted concern that Donald Trump is further pushing the boundaries of executive power at the expense of the federal judiciary. The White House is accusing judges of usurping the will of the president, who's called for the impeachment of a judge who ordered the suspension of high-profile deportation flights. The magistrate is now warning the Trump administration that it could face consequences if he finds it violated his order, temporarily blocking the deportation. With the details, here's Cara Scotland.
It's the latest escalation in a tussle between two branches of US government, the executive and the judiciary. After Donald Trump called for the impeachment of a district judge on Tuesday, Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts issued a highly unusual public rebuke.
For more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose.
Federal judges are nominated by the president for life and can only be removed by being impeached by the House of Representatives for high crimes or misdemeanors and convicted by the Senate, something extremely rare. Trump's disagreement with Judge James Boasberg centers around the administration's move to deport alleged Venezuelan gang members. Over the weekend, Boasberg ordered the suspension of the deportation flights, but the planes went on to land in El Salvador anyway. As justification for the move, the White House had invoked wartime legislation from the 18th century known as the Alien Enemies Act. The law has only been used 3 times, all during congressionally declared wars, and allows the deportation of foreigners without following the usual legal processes. The case has emerged as a flashpoint in a larger debate over presidential power and the role of the courts in reviewing executive actions. Some observers fear Trump will openly defy the judiciary, triggering a constitutional crisis.
For more on what's at stake, we're joined now by Reed Brody, human rights lawyer and prosecutor. Reed, thanks very much for being with us on the programme this evening. How far is the United States from entering a constitutional crisis at this point? Some observers say we're already at that point. Would you agree? And do you think that it's perhaps what the Trump administration is actually seeking?
No, I do think that democracy is under threat right now in the United States from a president who wants to be a dictator. I mean, we have seen a series, each day brings a new unconstitutional action by the president, dismantling agencies that were created by Congress, refusing to spend money. Congress has the power of the purse to decide which monies are spent, and he's been refusing to spend money allocated by Congress. The theoretical ending of birthright citizenship. Every day as well brings a new judicial order saying that Donald Trump has exceeded his constitutional powers. Just yesterday, 2 decisions, one by a federal judge saying that the dismantling of USAID was probably unconstitutional and ordering a halt. Another case in which a district judge said that Trump's order to ban transgender soldiers from the armed forces could not be enforced. And now we're seeing, as you've well described, the president saying, I don't have to abide by court orders, calling for the impeachment of a federal judge. The vice president, J.D. Vance, has tweeted that judges have no right to constrain the president's legitimate authority. The border czar, in response to this case of the deportation, has said, we don't care what judges are going to do. We're going to go ahead and do it anyway. So I believe that there is a real constitutional crisis underway.
And are we approaching a scenario, do you believe, where the administration might actually say that it's no longer going to be complying with court orders?
I'm afraid, well, we've seen de facto that that several courts, they've been at least seriously dragging their feet on a number of occasions. And they've announced that, and when push comes to shove, they may not. I mean, we will see. A lot of these cases are going to go up to the U.S. Supreme Court. And the problem is that, the courts have no way of enforcing their decisions. In the United States, the executive authority has traditionally gone along, I mean, not traditionally, always gone along with court decisions. Richard Nixon, everybody. When the court speaks, if you don't agree with the lower court ruling, you don't defy it, you appeal it. If it goes up to the Supreme Court, you abide by it. And I'm very afraid that Donald Trump and this administration will just say, we don't care. And then, that's the last guardrail.
And as you say, the border czar has already said that he doesn't care about what judges think. The particular judge in the centre of this deportation row, he warned the Trump administration today that there would be potential consequences if he finds that it has violated his order about those deportation flights. What kind of consequences are we talking about here?
Well, he can hold the authorities in contempt of court. He can issue fines. But, ultimately, the judge does not have a police force. The American system works because people have respected the separation of powers. When the founding fathers who took over from a king felt that if a president tried to act like a dictator, that a Congress, jealous of its authority, would step in to impeach him. But the founding fathers did not foresee political parties, and they did not foresee the total control over a party by the president, and of that party over Congress. And so ultimately, if the courts are not respected, I mean, we're seeing more and more people go into the streets. The decision by immigration authorities to arrest a protester for an anti-Gaza protest and to put him in jail has brought a lot of people into the streets. People who have been fired unconstitutionally from the federal government by Elon Musk have been going out into the streets. That may ultimately be the only thing that's going to stop the government.
And there was a similar scenario as well in Boston. We saw a few days ago a judge issuing a restraining order to block the deportation of a medical professor. She had a valid visa. Despite that, she was still deported. So how are people feeling who are immigrants or perhaps foreign-born Americans living in the United States right now? It's obviously very worrying for people traveling in and out of the country.
And for people within the country. I mean, I know people who have been picked up. People are, I have a friend was telling me that in his immigrant neighborhood, people don't go out on the street. They're just afraid. I know a woman who was stopped by the police who's actually an American citizen. But, she's of Latin heritage, and the police said to her, where did you buy? And she carries people carry their passports now. People are, and the police said, where did you buy your passport? And they held her on the side of the road for hours. And while she was on the side of the road, the police stopped and arrested and handcuffed and took away other people. This is a very scary moment to be an immigrant, even to be a legal alien. It's, when the head of the Columbia Journalism School told his students, don't put anything on social media about Gaza. We can't protect you. This is the Columbia Journalism School. The attacks on universities, Columbia University had $400 million taken away because of its supposed tolerance of anti Gaza war activities. There's an assault. People are, for the first time, I'm hearing interviews on the radio with people who are afraid to give their names for fear of reprisals. This is something that happens in Russia, in Venezuela, not in the United States. There's a lot of fear in a lot of communities in the United States today.
And the Trump administration as well, on some level, that appears to be trying to shape public perception of what's happening here when it comes to deportations and when it comes to how it's defying the courts, kind of framing that as a win for Republican voters, as a win for American people overall.
Well, of course, the issue in this deportation, of course, nobody likes criminal gangs, and so that's a very popular move. Of course, we don't know that any of these people were criminals. That's the whole point of having a legal process, and we know from what's coming out from lawyers that many of these people had no criminal records at all. So the particular issue, of course, is popular. But the fact is that the process is not being followed, and certainly Trump feels he has a mandate. I mean, he got 49.8% of the vote. That doesn't really qualify you to totally overturn the entire government system, to shut down agencies, to fire people, to put Elon Musk's computer into the government computer and suck out all the money, and just one agency after another being fired. You don't get to do that because in a democracy, because you got 49% of the vote.
Reed, we'll have to leave it there for now. Thanks for being with us on the programme this evening. That's Reed Brody, human rights lawyer and prosecutor. Thanks so much. Well, that is it from us for now. Do stay with us, though. We'll be right back with more world news.